How's the volume? Hear me on? All right, welcome. So thank you for joining us. I know we're probably standing between you and some happy hour dinner, so thank you for sharing the next 30 minutes or so with us. My name is Todd Carey, and I lead our GSP sales teams worldwide. So I get to work with our largest, most strategic partners, and a partner is customer motion. So really, how do we get our partners to be bigger investors and bigger customers and better sellers in the marketplace? And we evolved really into focusing on a few strategic areas and emerging areas. And like things like Gen AI, and security, observability. And so that's what I love about my job the most. I get to work with not just our most strategic, but our most innovative and transformative partners. So super excited to share the stage today with Digitate in the observability space of trying to solve these complex IT automation problems, Gen AI problems, complex IT environments overlaid with business objectives and business groups, really emerging as one of the most, or the largest challenges that we're seeing in the market. And it's great to have partners like Digitate that are focusing on that with their solution stack and solving a lot of problems. So without further ado, Abhijit, let me bring you.
Thank you, Todd. Hello everybody, my name is Abhijit, and I'm responsible for the ecosystem and solutions for Digitate. So very quickly, first of all, who are we as Digitate? So we are into market since 2015. We are a product company which is focused on closed loop automation. That is where we started. Obviously, from the global enterprises which are complex, which have the complexity of technologies and the hyper instrumentation. I think all of you, almost all of you, should be very familiar with this term, hyper instrumentation. We live today in the era of abundance, right? So there is no dearth of data. There is no dearth of monitoring. There is no dearth of logs and what have you. But the key question is, how do you bring it all together? And obviously with AI coming in, how do you really apply it into enterprise space? And this is a scenario or a story that I want to share with you as to what we have done with one of our global customers. But quickly talking about Digitate, when we started 2015, naturally we started with one of the core area. The key question that we started was, how do you apply AI to IT and what can come out? And obviously we have now branched out into, there are about 6 product lines that we today run with, about 250 plus customers. These are all global customers, Fortune 2000 customers, and that's where many of these stories do come up with. I'm extremely proud to be here because when we talk about AI, people many a times still think this is still a science experiment going on. Is it really working? And at what scale should we deploy it? And is there really a business case around? And that's what I want to demonstrate, that yes, this is something which is real. This is something that we have been doing and it is working for the customers. Now, some of the key products across the IT segment, right from applications, infrastructure, SAP, assurance, then the whole cognitive procurement. This is one area where we started applying AI, which is into the business operations side, to see how we can progress. But basically, this is our overall portfolio. Now let's come to the core part of the presentation, which is about this story and what we did with one of the global medical devices manufacturer. This company is specifically into their orthopedic division, which is, they are into hip replacement surgeries, knee replacement surgeries, and the devices that are needed for it. So now here, the key issue is in terms of that we identified was with respect to the overall supply chain demand planning process. And this is something which is extremely complex for this customer. This is not a very high volume business. This is not a retail or this is not a CPG company. This is something which is more to do with the very complex manufacturing that needs to be done, and with the complex ecosystem of the partners, the suppliers, the distributors into the market, their own manufacturing plants. So that's where it becomes more complex. So what is it that is creating issue here? The issue always in supply chain planning process is the accuracy of the data, apart from the complexity of the systems. And then comes the delays, and that is what this customer is pretty much struggling with. Now, why there are delays? Because all the systems that are needing to get the data from various suppliers, partners, their manufacturing plants, or what is out there with the distributors, getting all that data in a synchronous manner is something which is not possible. Because most of the global businesses, they grow organically, but there are also a lot of inorganic acquisitions that are being done. Multiple systems come together, and it is never easy to bring all the data together, break all the silos. All of that really doesn't work, and that introduces the delays, and this is something which is substantial. Because if the devices are not getting created on time, there is a further delay that is happening to what they can supply to the hospitals and ultimately the patients. So this was the problem that we encountered. And the question is now, where is observability into this? Where is automation, and what's AI doing in all of this? Right? That's the key question. So the technologies that we looked at here, these are not just typical, 3-tier, multi-tier applications. This has SAP in it. There is a JDA involved. There are batch jobs that are there, legacy systems that are there, some of the web services coming into picture. So you can think of multitude of systems coming together from various partners and suppliers. And that makes this whole process very complex. Now, what we started doing for this, what is the solution? So first and foremost important thing is to find out how do you understand this entire process. Typically in the enterprise, and we all know this, there are a set of people who understand this system because they have worked in the system for many years. It is like I've been managing this floor for last 5 years, 10 years. I know this shop floor, how it works, how this manufacturing process works. But we all know the new workforce is not like that. There are changes, workforce is changing. You don't have longevity that is happening into the enterprises, and the knowledge also moves away with the people. So that's why the first and foremost important question is, how do you bring visibility across the enterprise process, which is the supply chain demand planning process? How do you build that? That's where what we did, what we call as blueprinting. And this is a key, I would say, key aspect of this entire automation that we brought in. This was about 10 plus enterprise complex systems and 75 plus interfaces that were integrated with. Then comes the next part, which is about business transactions. And we are in this floor today, pretty much everybody is talking about observability. The goal for everyone is, can I find out how my transaction is flowing? And we all know transactions, when they flow, they cut across multiple systems, multiple hosts of technologies. Not every technology is seamlessly working with other, and there are integrations in place. That's the hard reality. So how do you basically stitch a particular transaction together? And when we looked at this particular process, which is about planning, this had about 250 plus failure points. Now these failure points are not just about system failing here, typical availability and performance issues. Because these days, in global enterprises, talking about availability and performance is old world. We all know there is already a lot of redundancy built in. You don't expect availability performance issues to come in, especially for critical processes. These failures are typically in terms of the quality of data, right arrival of the data, and what we like to call it as a business SLA. Every data that comes into your system has to have a specific business SLA. And that is how people need to think about it. And are the business SLAs being delivered on time? That pretty much decides what's the health of your enterprise. And that's basically where this is going. Then comes, now once I have blueprinted it and I know which are the failure points that are coming in, what is the way for me to detect the anomaly? And anomaly is in terms of, are there any delays getting introduced? Are certain transactions getting slowed down? So typically what happens is you find a failure for a particular process. Maybe it is going through 8 hops, and maybe there is a failure on 7th hop, a severity 1 comes in, and people start scrambling to say that, oh, why this failed? Once they start investigating, they realize that, but hop number 2 was the point where actually the anomaly happened. And it was like 6 hours before some exception came. But guess what? Nobody actually had monitored this or looked at it, so we have lost the time. So the game for anomaly detection is not about just having the alerts coming to you. It is about how quickly I detect it before business detects it. Because then you are able to avoid the business disruption. Many a times, even if somebody says that, yeah, there is an anomaly, what will you do with it? You need to know why that anomaly occurred at first place. And then that's where the things become very complex. How do you go and find out for a particular transaction how the anomalies are going to happen? And then comes the root cause, why this happened and what can be done. So that is where automation comes in. So observability, if you see into entire picture, is about understanding this complex process, creating the visibility and control using Ignio, Then, using the failure points, do the proactive detection of the anomalies, find out what are the potential root causes, and then providing the fixes. That's basically where AI comes in, that's where automation comes in. Now, when we looked at Ignio for this is precisely where all three capabilities of the product, the product name is Ignio, that's what we used here. And naturally, Ignio does not work in isolation. This is not something like a magic wand has come and solved a problem. Because in a complex enterprises, real serious enterprise problems, they don't get just dissolved by bringing a magic technology. It requires hard work in terms of bringing things together. It requires working with multitude of technologies, and how do you bring it together with the SMEs? That's where the key question is. However, you still need some of the key capabilities. That's where our product Ignio comes into picture. The first and foremost is what we call as unified observability. So this is not about just getting logs and traces and metrics data or melt data in a particular format, but it is more about how do you bring it in a unified way, working with variety of systems. The second part is applying AI, and how do you develop the overall intelligence or insight into it. And you need insights for being predictive and proactive. What is going to be giving you guarantee that tomorrow 6 o'clock, a sales report that is going to come on time or not? That is what is called as business SLA prediction. And if that SLA prediction comes at 5:50 a.m. in the morning, it's pretty much useless prediction from AI. If the prediction comes at 9 p.m. saying that you're going to miss the SLA, it again is useless because I don't have confidence in that particular prediction. So the prediction has to come to me at an optimal time, a sufficient look ahead window that gives me ability to react and take action upon and avoid that particular miss. That's where AI comes into picture. That's how we have applied AI. And lastly, it's not just about telling somebody that, oh, you're going to miss the SLA. It is also about fixing it so that you can actually avoid the mishap. That's where the closed loop automation comes in. So when we applied these capabilities onto the supply chain demand planning process, we got some of these results. So they were generally getting delayed by about 7 days in their planning cycle. That came down to few hours, and this is a significant shift in terms of how they do this. Second is naturally automation brings benefit, and this was like almost 6.5 million plus automation savings that came, which reduced the overall total cost of ownership reduced. And lastly, which is another important aspect, is about order transaction delays that got eliminated. And this has a direct impact to the business. So observability technology, and obviously what we have implemented in Ignio, we believe we are able to deliver two types of benefits to customers. One is obviously automation is there, prediction is there, all of that, which is going to bring efficiency, which will save money, all of that. But more importantly, the business benefits, the resilience that you can bring, the whole business assurance part of it. And that is the whole conversation. How do you bring business and IT together? That's basically what our story has been. And with this, what I would say that when we started applying this for global businesses, naturally we wanted our business to scale. And that's where we found AWS as our primary partner. And that's where we come in. I request Todd, if you can share some of your reflections in terms of how this partnership has been.
Yeah, and I love the stories, but I think what I appreciate most about Digitate and Ignio is the outcomes. I mean, 7 days to 4 hours, if you've ever been part of a complex inventory or demand planning cycle, you know the value, but it's value delivered. And that's really the measurement when we get to the market with a partner like Digitate is, what are we impacting and what are we really doing as an outcome? The stories are great, but really the outcomes and the results is really what resonates with customers and of course with us as AWS. And they've been around 10 years, you've been part of our family for what, about a year now?
About a year.
Right? A fantastic journey with them. But from a better together, these are the kinds of relationships and partnerships we want to invest in as AWS. We find companies like Digitate and really want to do everything we can to lean in terms of these hot tech trends, yes, emerging technologies, yes, but understanding the story, the value, and everything that you bring as a partner, and then be able to deliver that outcome with AWS is such a powerful value proposition. And those are the companies and partners that we really get behind. And so Digitate absolutely is first class in this category. So happy to be leaning in and investing with you, Abhijit. We are huge fans of Digitate.
Thank you.
So I think now we want to open up for some Q&A.